One of Rodgers' closest teammates, Davante Adams, spoke to Fox News about Rodgers' absence and how the team is handling it. And here is what he said. He said, "I'll be there," speaking of training camp, "and I'll be ready to rock. Hopefully Aaron will be there as well. And if he's not, we're going to get going. Like I said in the press recently, I back him and I support him, whatever he does. It's just kind of how we get down. We've always had each other's back since I first got here. Like I said, praying that he comes back. But if not, I'll be there and I'll be working." So any idea that these guys were going to hold out of training camp the way many of them missed the mandatory minicamp goes by the wayside. And so Dan Graziano, Ryan Clark, and Mike Tannenbaum get up with us here early this morning. Danny Graz, you were telling me this morning that comment from Davante is sort of a microcosm of the way the entire situation is.
It is, and those guys didn't miss the mandatory minicamp. They missed voluntary OTAs.
Right.
So ever since it's been mandatory, Davante Adams and the other receivers have, in fact, shown up. And I think when they didn't show up for OTAs, there was a sense of like, oh, look, they're going to force the Packers' hand. They're going to give Aaron what he wants, whether that's a new deal or whether that's a trade. And I think at this point, you're listening to Davante Adams articulate the position that the organization has articulated all along. Not going to trade him. If he wants to show up, we'd love to have him back. If he doesn't want to show up, we've still got to get ready for the season. These games are going to happen whether we have Aaron Rodgers or not. We can't just shut things down for 2021 because he doesn't show up. So I think that's the Packers' state of mind. They'd still like to have him back. They still plan to do some reaching out and try and figure out how to fix the situation. But if he doesn't come back, that's his decision, and they've got to get ready for the season regardless.
So, Ryan Clark, and I haven't had a chance to talk to you in a while, and it does start to feel like this momentum is building up on the other side from Rodgers here. The Packers, they clearly don't have to do anything. The other players are going to show up. They're going to try and put together a season. It's really going to be up to him whether he's willing to just continue this game of chicken. You know him a little bit. What do you think he'll do?
Yeah. I believe that he will. But I also believe that none of us can actually predict what Aaron Rodgers is going to do because this is so personal. It's almost so petty. It's all about his feelings. And I think that's what Davante Adams is feeling. If you listen to Davante Adams, you know what he is? He's in the fifth step of grief. And that's acceptance. He's just accepted that, you know what? This may be an Aaron Rodgers-less type year. This may be a year where I have to go out and do it with Jordan Love, who's a second-year quarterback, who's mostly the reason why Aaron Rodgers won't be here. But I think that the Green Bay Packers understand this. Now Davante Adams understands this. And this is very on par with what they said during the minicamp, that they want him back, but they understand he got to make his own decisions.
That's exactly right. Look, I agree with you, RC. I don't think he does come back. And so, Mike T., you were telling me that if you were running the Packers, that you would have heard Davante Adams' comments and they would have made you concerned. Why?
Yeah, to use RC's word, there's a lot of grief going on because it's an honest, sober look into what the 2021 season could be, which is a minimum 6-game differential from Aaron Rodgers to anybody else that's playing quarterback. And if I'm Matt LaFleur and my best players are actually talking about playing without Aaron Rodgers, it becomes that much more real if I'm the Packer organization.
That's that lob to the rim. I think what happened was he got in late. Sometimes that happens. You put your team back out, and all of a sudden one of the assistants yells out, "Hey, let's put a big guy on the ball." And I think that's what happened. DeMarcus came running in late, and his angle, his back is kind of to half court. His back needed to be toward the middle of the court, kind of toward the foul line, if you will, and then it would have made the pass a little more difficult. The way that pass was thrown, would he have stopped it? No, but he wouldn't have given Jay Crowder the clean look he had at that rim. You love the execution. You love Monty with the guts to do that. Don't forget, 0.9 seconds, they could have brought a shooter around to knock down a jump shot, so it didn't have to be a lob necessarily.
And you were correct, by the way. Hembo and I went back and looked at it. DeMarcus Cousins literally pulled off the sweats and ran out just for that play. So they did just put him in the game in that spot. Meanwhile, Tim Legler, that's the beginning of where I wanted to go with you. For every action, there's an equal opposite reaction. It's a great play by the Suns, but how about the way it was defended?
Yeah, look, it starts obviously with DeMarcus Cousins. And in that situation, and you learn this really at a very young age. You think about any time there's a baseline out of bounds play, and I've been in that situation many times in my life where you're guarding the ball and you're just taught, make sure that ball cannot be directly thrown to the rim or into the paint. It has to be funneled out to the corner or to the three-point line. And yes, PJ's right. There's enough time to catch and shoot that. but obviously your percentages go significantly down if you're talking about a 25-footer in that situation as opposed to anything at the rim. And DeMarcus just gave him a clear sight line right where he needed to throw the basketball. One thing I wanted to point out, think about how it's a game of inches. The shot by Bridges that set all this up, if that ball doesn't hit the rim and literally carry him directly, sharply in that direction where it's deflected out of bounds of 0.9, this game's over. If that ball hits the rim and goes up in the air at all, there's not any time left, no matter who gets the rebound. So that's unfortunate for the Clippers. Bad luck there that it left them 0.9, and then they just didn't execute. And Batum couldn't bump on that either because he's guarding Booker, and he's terrified of Booker popping out for the shot. So it was Zubac doing the best he can. In the last element of this, he actually did pretty good job. It's just DeAndre Ayton's elevator goes to one more floor than Zubac's. That's what it comes down to because he's right there. But Ayton is just a little longer, a little bit more athletic. And obviously Zubac got that bump from Booker that prevented him from really being able to gather to go up.
All right, so PJ, the Phoenix Suns have now won 9 straight games, and they've won these 2 without Chris Paul, who they do expect to get back for Game 3. Are they now, in your mind, the team to beat for the championship?
Well, they're the team to beat in the West. No, I don't think they're the team to beat for the championship. I still like Milwaukee coming out of the East, but I mean, they're playing unbelievably well. I can't imagine Lou after the game. He should have started his post game to his guys with, "Hey guys, can't we get a split in these first 2 one of these times just to make it a little easier?" Devin Booker is playing out of his mind. Patrick Beverley did a great job. If you told me they would slow down Devin Booker as much as they did, you would think it would have been a great opportunity for the Clippers, but he stepped up big when it mattered. A lot of people didn't realize, Greeny, that, everybody's screaming offensive interference. That's a pass from out of bounds, so it's a different set of rules. Like, you can catch it and throw it down. A lot of people were all chirping like, he can't do that, he can't grab it. It's a pass. It's a different situation than a shot.
It's an important point to make. Legs, let me come back to you then on the other side of this. The Clippers, to PJ's point, they were down 2-0 in each of their previous series, and they managed to come back to win. They're going to have to do it, we think, without Kawhi Leonard, although he has not been ruled out completely. Can they do it again here against this red-hot Phoenix team?
Yeah, not only are they red hot, they're obviously getting their leader back. So they haven't even been a complete team, and they've got 2 wins in this series. And now you get the brains of the operation back on the floor, the guy that can manage the game, the guy that can score and take over a game if that's what the situation requires as well. So this is a different team right now. Not only are they hot, they're confident. This is one of the teams that I've seen in a long time with the best role definition. Everybody on this team knows exactly what they're on the floor to do. They accept that. They seem like they've got great chemistry. They're incredibly confident, and they're connected to their head coach. And most importantly, they've got 2 different guys that they have faith in to take over a game in any situation. So I just think this hole is a little bit different than the 2-0 holes they were facing in the first 2 rounds. I don't see how they're winning 4 out of 5 against this team the way they're playing right now.
Not without Kawhi, for sure.
Yeah, and we'll see. Again, he has not been ruled out yet for Game 3 or for any of the future games of this series, but I don't think there's a lot of optimism that he's coming back. We'll have to wait and see. Both of you guys are definitely coming back as this morning continues, so sit tight. Thank you, fellas. But we got to get to the next big story of the day, and it involves that man again because we have a development on the standoff between Aaron Rodgers and the Packers.